Well, everybody, welcome back. It's Mo again. Well, this lecture we're going to be looking at is VLANs. What are VLANs? Watch this. I'm going to get myself a switch. So here's an actual switch. And when I put the actual computers here, so I'm going to put a few devices and watch this. One, two, three, four, five, six. And let me get myself an actual server. You know what? I'll put static IPs. All right, watch this. So let me put cables. Of course, I'm going to go to port one, port two, and port three and four. So this is port three, and this one is port four, and five and six. And here is port six. So I have all these ports. Now watch this. Remember we talked about collision domains and broadcast domains? So for example, if I go to this device, and let's say I give it a static IP, 192.168.100.1, right? So this one is 100.1. Let's say this one is going to be 100.2, 100.2, and then 100.3 and 100.4. All right, watch this. 100.3 and then 100.4. And this one is 100.4 and then 100.5 and 6. So I'm putting everybody on the same what network as you see. You'll see why I'm using static. And this one is 100.5 and the other one is going to be 100.6. Now, if somebody tells you, like this is a lot of times a question on an interview, why can all these computers talk to each other? Why can they all talk to each other? Well, okay, first of all, let's try something. Watch this. From here to here, it works. From here to here, it works. So I'm trying to show you that I could test communication from all my clients. From here to here, it works. And let me delete some of these. And same thing from here to here works. They could all talk to each other. Well, you're going to tell me, Mo, when I'm looking at this is a Class C network, and it's a default CIDR, which means the first three octets are the same. And that's why they could all talk to each other. And look, 100.3, 100.4, 100.5, and 100.6. That's why. Well, that's not the reason why. The reason why they could all talk to each other because they belong to the same VLAN. What is a VLAN? A virtual local area network. Watch this. If I open the switch and I take a look at my configuration, if I do throw run, there's really nothing here to see, by the way. But it says I only have one VLAN. So if I do show VLAN, right, enter, I only have the default VLAN. And all the ports are a member of the same VLAN. You know what that means? I have one broadcast domain because they belong to the same broadcast. So there's only one VLAN and all the ports are part of the same VLAN. And I just have one broadcast domain. All right. So there's actually one broadcast domain, but how many collision domains? One, two, three, four, five, six, and one broadcast because they belong to the same VLAN. You're gonna tell me, well, there's only six devices. This should be fine. But let's assume you have like 200 machines, 300 machines, and you have different departments. I should have every department on a different VLAN. Okay, well, we agree on that because that's better for security. When I put computers in different VLANs, they cannot talk to each other unless I route between them. By default, VLAN 10 cannot talk to VLAN 20. VLAN, like let's say in the sales department, cannot talk to the HR. VLAN in the sales cannot talk to the QA. I don't want them to talk to each other. I just want them to talk to the server itself, right? So I separate them in different what VLANs, which means I decrease on traffic and I increase on performance and I increase on what? Security. You're in VLAN 10, you cannot talk to 20. You're in 20, you cannot talk to 30. So what I'm showing you right now is everything belongs to the same VLAN, which means I have one broadcast domain. I can divide the switch into different broadcast domains, which means different VLANs. All right. Each VLAN to a department. That's what I can tell you about VLANs. Another instance about VLANs is the following. Let me show you another instance. Let me get myself a switch. So here is a switch. And normally in a typical organization, you would have, let's say, laptops, you would have actual servers, you would have printers, right? You would have like phones. Look at this. I'm just showing you phones themselves. That's what I could actually have. Okay, then I'm gonna hook these up to devices. So watch this. I'm gonna go to the cable. Watch this. I'm gonna go ahead and put this to port what? Port one. And I'm gonna put this to port two. Now look at this. This is gonna go to port, let's say three. And this one is to port what? Four. And this one to port five. And this one to port six. And this one to port, let's say seven. And this one to port what? Eight. And you're going to tell me, like, I'm going to go to each one of these devices, put them on the same network. Well, if you do this, it means you have no clue what a network should look like. You see, you go to an actual network and you see like everything belongs to the same VLAN. And what's the reason why these did not actually power on? Because this switch does not support PoE, which means I have to get an injector or I could actually power. Look at this, these devices over here, right here, right? So that's what I could actually power. Let me fast forward. And right now, if I go to my switch, CLI, and I look at my actual VLAN, I'm going to say show VLAN. And all of them are part of the same VLAN, which means I only have one broadcast domain. And guess what? This is not something you'll ever deal with. The laptop should be on one VLAN, the server should be on another, the printer should be another, the phone should be another. That's how you separate traffic. That's better for security. So each one belongs to a different subnet, to a different network. At the same time, it belongs to a VLAN. Why is that important? Switches, remember, they filter by a MAC address. Switches don't understand IP addresses. They deal with the frame. What's inside the frame? Source destination MAC address. Routers, on the other hand, they deal with packets. And what's in the packet? Source and destination IP address. Okay, so that's one thing to understand. That's why my phones should be on one VLAN, the printers on a different, my laptops on a different, and so on. See, when I do that, I separate traffic, I increase the number of broadcast domains. So if I have three VLANs, that means I have three broadcast domains. That means I'm separating my data for one VLAN, my phones for another VLAN, my printers for another VLAN, and so on. And by default, they won't be able to talk to each other. That's what I wanted to show you. There's a lot of trouble, and it's not good for security. It's not good for performance if you stick with the same VLAN. When you put every single device on the same VLAN, well, you're going to tell me, Mo, I only have 50 employees. Well, you're probably not going to see a big difference, right? Wait until you get like over 100, over 200. You'll start seeing like people are actually complaining. So that's what I wanted to show you in our next lecture. How do we work with VLANs? So we'll see you folks in our next lecture. Bye now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Mo again. Well, in this lecture, we're going to be looking at is VLANs. I know in our previous lecture, we saw that we left everything with the default VLAN, which is VLAN number one. Now watch this. I'm going to go back to my switch. I'm going to do a show run. And I could see I only have one VLAN. I do have MAC addresses and all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually replace the switch with another one. Oh, watch this. So it's actually fresh. And then I'm going to get myself an actual switch again, just to make sure I have an actual fresh switch. And I'm going to put cables. Watch this. So I'm going to go to port one, port two, port three, four, five, and six. See that? Just like this. And of course, my server is going to be connected to port, let's say 24. All right. So let's say port 24 on the actual server. I still have my IPs here. I want to put the numbers in statically. So I'm going to put everybody on the same network. I don't want to use dynamic. 100.1. I'm not going to use a gateway or DNS. And let's say 100.2, right? And 100.3 and 100.4 and so on. So I'm putting everybody on the same subnet as you see. 100.3 and 100.4 and then 5 and 6. So I'm putting statically. I'm not putting dynamic. All right. So 4, 5. This is what over here? This one is 3. So this one should be actually 4, right? And then 5 and 6. And this one is going to be 5, and then we have 6. So everybody's on the same network. I don't want to get it from DHCP, and you'll see why. So this is 5. Now look, if I try to put a number with the same, look what it says. Watch this. Even though with the Cisco packet, it's like, oh, it's in use. Hello. Right? So 192.168.100.6. Then close and close. If I go back to my switch over here, right, and I go to the CLI, and I want to look at my actual what? Show run. I don't have any configuration on the switch. If I do show VLAN, I only have one VLAN, which means one broadcast domain. That means they could all talk to each other. So if I put envelope over here, an envelope here, yes. Envelope here and here, yes. Envelope here and here, yes. And same thing, envelope here and here is yes. So everything looks fine. Why can they all talk to each other? Remember, they belong to the same VLAN, not because they belong to the same network. And I'm going to prove that to you. I'm going to say, I'm going to put a note. These are notes over here. I'm going to say this is VLAN 10. All right. VLAN 10, VLAN 20, and VLAN 20. This one is VLAN 30 and VLAN 30, just like that. So I have VLAN 30, I have VLAN 30, I have VLAN 20, I have VLAN 10, and this one is also a VLAN 10. Okay, but I'm going to leave this one on VLAN number 1. All right, so this is VLAN 1. So I'm going to go back to my switch. Watch this. Very simple. Create the VLANs. Watch this. Global configuration mode. VLAN space question mark. I could get up to 4094. I'm going to say 10 enter. Give it a name, and I'll say this is actually sales. I'm going to hit the up arrow and say VLAN 20, and I'm going to say name is HR. And I'm going to hit the up arrow, right? VLAN 30, and I'm going to say name is QA. Just like that. Control Z, show VLAN. I have VLAN 10, 20, 30, but there's no ports part of that VLAN. Everybody's still actually part of VLAN 1. But how many broadcast domains do I have? How? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 broadcast domains. Every VLAN is counted as a broadcast domain. Okay, so watch this. What do I do? Interface range F0/1 to 2. And I use what command? I'll ask for help, the switch port command. Switch port, and I can have the option for access or voice or trunk. Access is for like laptops, desktops, servers, printers, access points. Voice is only if it's an actual VoIP phone. Trunk is when I connect from a switch to a switch to a router. I won't see that. Switch port, I'm going to say access question mark, VLAN, and I'm going to say this is VLAN 10. All right. Hit the up arrow twice, and I'm going to say ports 3 through 4. Hit the up arrow twice, and VLAN 20. And ports 5 and 6 to VLAN what? 30. Yes, VLAN 30. And then I'm going to save my configuration. By the way, when you create VLANs, remember we have different storage configurations. So there's a running config, which is the show run, which is whatever's running in the RAM. Then I have the show start, which is whatever's running in the NVRAM, which means when I restart, everything is still actually there. But the VLANs are not stored in the, I mean, they're actually in the run start, but where do they get saved? In the flash. Show flash. And look, there's a database called VLAN.dat. The VLAN.dat is located in where? In the flash. What's also in the flash? iOS. You see that? iOS.bin is also in the flash. So when you actually save your VLANs, they get stored to the flash, which is a compact card that is actually in the switch itself. So I did save my configuration and I did show VLAN, and I could see VLAN 10 has ports 1 and 2, VLAN 20 has ports 3 and 4, VLAN 30 has ports 5 and 6, and VLAN 1 has ports 7 through 24, and gigabit 0/1 and gigabit 0/2. Okay, so what does this actually mean to us? Watch this. I'm going to delete this over here. So I'm going to put envelope over here, envelope here. Success. Envelope over here, envelope over here. It's failing. Envelope here, envelope here. It's failing. Why? It's a different VLAN. I don't care if they're on the same network or not. These two can talk to each other. These two can talk to each other because they belong to the same VLAN. These two can talk to each other because they belong to the same VLAN. What's the IP address of this machine over here? This is 100.3. So you see what's the difference over here? You don't care if they belong to the same network or not. Why? Because on a switch, the switch filters by a MAC address. All right. So if it filters by a MAC address, I don't care if they're on the same network or not. Do they belong to the same VLAN or not? If they belong to the same VLAN, then yes, they should be on the same network. Well, normally each VLAN should be on a different network. And guess what? My clients cannot talk to the server. The server is still in VLAN number one. Watch. Let me show you what I'm actually talking about over here. So if I put envelope, let me delete this. If I put envelope over here, an envelope here, let's say here and here, it's not going to work. It's going to fail. Again, I try again. Envelope here, it's going to fail. Why? Because this is on port 24. And where's port 24? It's part of VLAN number one. See that? They have one broadcast domain, two broadcast domains, three broadcast domains, four broadcast domains. So I have a total of four broadcast domains. How many collision domains? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Seven collision domains. This is one way of doing VLANs, which means each department is on a different VLAN, different network. In reality, this is how it should look like. I just wanted to prove to you that they cannot talk to each other because they belong to different VLANs. I left them on the same network just to prove a point. So watch this. This one should be what? So this one should be what over here? 10.1. Watch this. 192.168.10.1. Okay. This one should be what? 10.2. Watch this. So I'm going to switch. This is the proper way. 10.2. This one is going to be 20.1. See this? 20.1. 192.168.20.1. And this one should be 20.2. So this one is DHCP static 20.2. 192 and say 20.2. Let me close and close. And this one is going to be 30.1. And the other one is 30.2. So this one is 30.1. All right. Watch this. And the other one is 30.2. So I'm going to put 30.2 over here. This is the proper way of doing the networks with the corresponding VLANs. And this one will be, let's say it's on VLAN 1. I could say this one, I'm going to put it as 1.1. So this is the proper method, folks. Just like that. So now I could say each VLAN belongs to a different network, different department. That's a proper method. I'm going to be showing you how DHCP works with this, but I just wanted to give you the intro how VLANs are actually operating. How do I create them? How do I move the ports? And I still have to change the network for the ones actually different VLANs. I cannot leave them on the same network. I did that to show you that they can still cannot talk to each other because they belong to different VLANs. So we'll see you folks in our next lecture. Bye now. All right. Everybody, welcome back. It's Mo again. Well, in this lecture, we're going to continue with VLANs. Well, watch this. Look what I'm going to do right now. This time, I'm going to get two switches. So I'm going to get a switch over here and a switch over here. And there you go. All right. So I have one switch here and one switch here. So I'm going to do this as switch one, and I'm going to do this as switch two. So what I'm going to do right now is, so I'm going to get a laptop, one, two, three, four, and let's say five. And same thing, one, two, three, four, and five. And I'm going to get a switch over here and a switch right over here. So here we go. I have a switch here and a switch here. So why am I doing this? I want to show you how VLANs work across switches. So I'm going to go ahead and get my cables. Watch this. This is going to be connected to port one, port two, port three, port four. All right, just like before. And this one is going to be on port five. Same thing. This one is port one, port two, port three, port four, and port five. Just like this. See that? So I have all these ports. Now I'm going to connect the cable from the switch to the switch. Now, if it's a similar device, folks, I need to use a crossover cable. So now I'm going to say from gigabit, I'd rather use a gigabit port to a gigabit port to gigabit 01. All right. So this is switch one. This is switch two. This is going to be on VLAN number 10, say, and this one is also VLAN number 10. This one is also VLAN 10. You see this? Now I'm going across switches. And this one is going to be VLAN 20. And this one is going to be VLAN 20. And I got VLAN 20 here. And I got VLAN 20 here. And this one is going to be on VLAN number 1, which is the default, and VLAN number 1. So I got VLAN 10, VLAN 20, and VLAN 1. So look at this. Let me just get this over here. And I'm going to get this right here. And so I'm just going to organize these so I know which VLANs they actually correspond with. And of course, I'm going to give them different networks. I'm going to show you eventually how to do DHCP for all of them on an actual router, or I could use an actual server. For now, I want to test VLANs. Okay, first of all, let me go to my first switch. So host name is switch 1, and this one is switch 2. So I'm going to change the host name. Global configuration mode. Host name is switch 2. Right? Just like this. So now I'm going to go back to switch 1, and I'm going to go ahead and create the VLANs. VLAN space question mark and enter name sales, right? And VLAN what? 20, enter name is what? I'm going to call this, let's say HR, or let's say tech. Okay. Different name. I'm going to do the same thing on the other ones. So I'm going to do VLAN 10. Watch this. So this is VLAN 10. Same thing. Sales, name is sales, and VLAN 20, all right, name is what? Okay, now I'm going to go ahead. Remember, when I store the VLANs, they stay in the database, right, which is VLAN.dat in the flash, right? What contains the flash? Also the iOS. So I'm going to go to global configuration mode, interface range F0/1 to 2, switch port, access VLAN 10. Ports 3 and 4, all right, see this? Switch port, access VLAN 20. And I'm going to minimize. I'm not going to touch anything. This one stays in VLAN number what? 1. I'm going to go to the other switch and do the same thing. So I'm going to create the VLANs. VLAN 10. Name sales. All right. Did I create them? Okay. When I create them, does it overwrite? Does it tell me? Okay. Let's see. Go run. Okay. Nothing. Okay. Show VLAN. Okay. Now, how about if I want to delete? I said, oh, I added one by mistake. If I do this, no VLAN 10, enter. Okay. And show VLAN, watch this. It's gone. It doesn't matter. So as long as you have the same name, it just overwrites it. So I'm going to create it again. VLAN 10, enter, right? And the name is what? Sales. All right. That's what I'm going to have. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the ports to the corresponding VLAN. So interface range of 0/1 to 2, switch port, access, VLAN number 10. And ports what? 3 through 4, switch port access, VLAN 20. Control C, save my configuration, go VLAN, and I can see VLAN 10 and 20. VLAN 10 has ports 1 and 2. VLAN 20 has ports 3 and 4. Look at VLAN 1 has ports the rest of the ports. Same thing as what I have on my other switch. Remember, it's going through like the spanning tree algorithm. We'll be actually discussing that. So port 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is on port 5. All right, so VLAN 1 is in member of port 5. Now look what I'm going to do. Okay, let me go back over here and give these actual IP addresses. So this one is going to be 10.1. So I'm going to close this out. And this one is going to be 10.2. All right. So watch this. Just static numbers, folks. And we'll see DHCP later. And this one's going to be 20.1. Remember, each VLAN should be on a different network. 20.1. And this one is going to be 20.2. All right. 20.2. Okay. And this one is going to stay on 1.1. So this one is 1.1. So this is actually good. And this one over here is going to be what? This is 10.1. This is 10.2. So this one is 10.3. All right. Watch this. So this one is 10.3. And this one is 10.4. So, and this one is 20.3. Right. So watch this. 20.3 and 20.4. And this one is what? Remember, this one is what over here? Did I make it as 1 dot what? 1. So this one is 1.2. All right. So watch this. So this one is 1.2. Okay, good. So what does that mean? Okay, what this? VLAN 10 should talk to VLAN 10. VLAN 20 should talk to VLAN 20. VLAN 1 should talk to VLAN 1. VLAN 10 here should talk to VLAN 10 here. VLAN 20 here should talk to VLAN 20 also over here. Let me verify the same VLANs on the same switch, first of all. Envelope here, success. Envelope here, success. Envelope here, success. All right. Envelope here and envelope here is success. So everything looks good. Okay. I want to try VLAN 1 with VLAN 1 from one side of the switch to the other side of the switch. So here's VLAN 1 and here's VLAN 1. Successful. Very good. Same VLANs can talk to each other across switches. Okay. Does that mean to all of them? Well, let's take a look. Okay. VLAN 10 with VLAN 10. In progress, failing. VLAN 10, I could also ping from the command prompt. It's failing. Why can VLAN 1 talk to VLAN 1 from one switch to another? How come VLAN 10 cannot talk to VLAN 10 from one switch to another? First of all, when I talk about VLAN 1 to VLAN 1, which port are they going through? They're going through gigabit zero 01. Okay, what's about gigabit zero 01? Okay, let's take a look. Let me go back to my switch over here and do the following. So let's say VLAN, first of all. I have gigabit zero 01. See this? This is gigabit zero 01. It's only a member of VLAN number one. If it's only a member of VLAN number one, what does that actually mean? It can only understand VLAN number one. Remember, switches deals with frames, so they tag the frames from one port to another. It's gonna drop all the frames. It's like I have no clue about VLAN 10 and 20. That's why I'm not gonna talk to the other switch about VLAN 10 and 20. What do I do when I have a connection from switch to switch? I create something called a trunk. What is a trunk? If I trunk a port, that means that port is a member of all the VLANs. So, watch this. Go interface a new command. Trunk. Nothing. Okay. Well, I need to trunk which port? This port over here. You only trunk from switch to switch and switch to router. If you don't trunk, this port will not be a member of all the VLANs. I want to make sure that this port is a member of all the VLANs. Okay. What trunking protocols are out there? There's 802.1q, which is a standard that works on Cisco and non-Cisco, and there's one called ISL that only works on Cisco switches. And guess what? Cisco is still moving towards the 802.1q. That's the encapsulation protocol that encapsulates the traffic from one switch to another. All right. Now watch this. I'm going to go to one side of the switch over here and just show you what's going on over here. So I'm going to go to config T, interface gigabit 0/1, switch port, mode. Look at this. Mode. Remember this? I did access before. This time I do what? Trunk. I trunk this port, which means this port is going to be a member of all the VLANs out there. Okay, nice job, Mo. All right. So if I do show interface trunk right now, right? Interface trunk, and I look at this, VLANs allowed. Oh, 1, 10, and 20 are allowed. And look at the protocol 802.1q, and it's actually in trunking mode. The default VLAN, which is a native VLAN, which is 1. And it's actually on. Do I have to trunk the other side? Well, by default, negotiation is turned on. I can turn off negotiation, and I'll show you that. Oh, watch this. If I go back to this side over here and I say, show interface trunk. It's negotiating. It's auto, not on. It got auto negotiating from the side, and it's in trunking mode on which VLANs are allowed. 1, 10, and 20. See that? Okay, nice work. So let me fast forward. Now, let me delete these. VLAN 10. And talk to VLAN 10. Success. Beautiful. Okay, VLAN 20. Can talk to VLAN 20. Beautiful. Good. And VLAN 10. Talk to VLAN 20. No, there's no inter-VLAN routing. We'll see that. So that's one thing to know. Can VLAN 10 talk to VLAN 20 here? Of course not. But as you see, when I put the port in trunking mode, the port is a member of all VLANs, which means now I could tag all the frames from one port to another. And guess what? Watch this. Do you remember before when I did show VLANs, Gigabit zero 01 was a member of VLAN 1? Now Gigabit zero 01 is in trunking mode. Okay, nice. Show VLAN. Oh, I don't see Gigabit zero 01. Why? It's in trunking mode, which means it's a member of all the VLANs. That's why. Okay, so now the same VLANs can talk to each other across switches because this port is in trunking mode. That means the port is a member of all the VLANs. By default, only VLAN 1 can talk to VLAN 1 because this port was a member of VLAN 1 only. So I had to put it in what mode, folks? Trunking mode. So I could actually talk, one VLAN can talk to another. That's what I wanted to show you in this lecture. In our next lecture, we're still going to be working with more and more labs about VLANs. So we'll see you folks in our next lecture. Bye now. Welcome back. It's Mo again. Well, in this lecture, we're going to go ahead and continue with more and more VLANs. This is the same lab as what we worked on in our previous lecture. But look what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring in two more laptops on this side. Here's one here and one here. Okay, so just getting two more laptops here and two more laptops right over here. Watch this. So I'm going to get myself a cable from this laptop, and I'm going to say, let's say go to ports what? 6 and 7. And over here, 6, watch this, and 7. See this? Just like that. Now, I'm going to say this is on a different VLAN. So I'm going to say this is VLAN what? VLAN number 30. And this is VLAN 30. All right? VLAN 30 and VLAN 30. And here and here and VLAN 30 and VLAN 30. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a static IP address. It's going to be what? 30.1. Okay? 192.168.30.1. And this one is going to be 30.2. So I'm just adding more, as you see, 30.2. And the other ones are going to be what? 30.3 and 30.4. So watch this. This is 30.3, and this one is 30.4. And here is 30.4. Now I'm going to go ahead to this switch and create my third VLAN. Watch this. So I'm going to log in, global configuration mode, VLAN 30, enter name equals what? QA. And this one over here, VLAN 30, enter QA. Same thing. VLAN 30, enter name QA, quality assurance. Okay, so if I do a control Z and I say show run, I only see VLAN 10 and 20 in the ports. I don't see VLAN 30. So where do I see? Show VLAN. Look at this. This is VLAN 30. All right. And same thing, I should see VLAN 30 on the list over here. So if I maximize this and I do show VLAN 30, show VLAN, and I could see VLAN 30. I could look at one VLAN at a time, show VLAN space question mark, and I could say like ID, or I could say brief and look at, just brief. I could do show VLAN ID space 30, just look at one of them, see just one at a time. So I could do that. So on this switch, I'm going to go ahead to the interface range and ports what? 0/627. Which port access VLAN what? 30. And I'm going to go to this side of the switch and do the same thing. 60. Interface range F0/627, switch port access VLAN 30. Just like that. See that? And then I'm going to save my configuration, right? So again, I'm going to save my configuration. I'm going to be doing do WR because I'm not in privilege mode. Okay, nice. So if I do a show VLAN, I can see VLAN 30, port 6 and 7, and VLAN 30, port 6 and 7. Look at this, and I do show VLAN, port 6 and 7. So here's VLAN 30. See, everything is the same thing as you see, right? That's what I actually have. Now, what I want to show you is when VLAN 30, talk to VLAN 30 from one side to another. Let's see. First of all, can the same VLANs talk to each other? Yes. Okay, nice. How about from here to here? Beautiful. Okay, good. How about if I go from VLAN 30 to VLAN 30 here? Right over here. Oh, successful. How come? Oh, do you guys remember? The port is in trunking mode. If it's in trunking mode, automatically it's going to be a member of all the VLANs. Let's see. Show interface trunk. Oh, VLANs allowed. Now it's adding the 30. Do you see what just happened? By default, you create a new VLAN, is going to put it in the list. 1, 10, 20, and 30. And this is on. Remember, the other one is on auto. Let me take a look and see over here. Watch this. Show interface trunk. And I could see this. I have VLAN 1, 10, 20, and 30, and everything's on negotiation. So everything is perfect. Okay, but I have a lot of VLANs from one side to another. want VLAN 20 to talk to VLAN 20 across switches for security purposes. Look what I do. Do it from other switch. I'm going to go to this switch over here. So by default, when you trunk a port, ports are going to be passing through. Everything, all the frames will be tagged from one side to another. Interface gigabit 0/1. Let me ask for help. Okay, switch port. Do I have a trunk command? Yes. Trunk. Okay. Allowed. Oh, nice, nice. And there's a native. We'll see what that is. VLAN. Perfect. I'm going to say all. Or I could say except. Like I'm going to say except which VLAN? Except VLAN 20. All right. Nice. Okay. Beautiful. Enter. Okay. Do WR. Watch this. So interface trunk. Enter. Oh, VLAN 20 is not in the list. Oh, 1 through 19 is skip 20, 21 through 1025. So I could do like all, I could say accept or add or none or remove a specific one. Either command, whatever suits you, what makes you comfortable, you could actually do. In my case, I just said except for a specific VLAN. Okay, well, let me go ahead and save my configuration. And I'm going to go ahead and do this. And by here, show interface trunk. Oh, okay. Did it sync? I thought it's gonna sync. Oh, it did not actually sync. Let me see again. WR. Can I reload? I was like, okay, maybe it's gonna sync. That's what you would think, right? I mean, yes, if you trunk something on one side, it's gonna be trunked on the other side. Let me reset the switch and see if it's gonna sync or not. Let's give it a moment, folks. Okay. Show interface trunk. No, VLAN 10, 20, and 30 are still there. So what I did is I went over here and I removed the specific VLAN, right? Allowed VLAN except for 20. Okay, when I did show interface trunk over here, let me do this again over here. Show interface trunk. VLAN 20 is not in the list. Okay, all right. So I have, let me fast forward over here and let me see if it's synced or not. Let's take a look. Show interface trunk. It's still there. Okay, so global configuration mode. Interface gigabit 0/1. I'm going to do switch port trunk allowed. I'm going to say VLAN and I'm going to say what? Accept, right? Which VLAN over here? VLAN number what? 20. And then press enter. So now I have everything in the list over here and I'm going to do WR, and I'm going to do show interface trunk over here. So now I have VLAN 1, VLAN 10, and 30 is allowed. 20 is not on the list. Same thing as what I see on the other one. And I'm going to do this again. VLAN 1, 10, and 30 is there, but 20 is not on the list. Okay, what does that mean? Let me delete. Okay, folks, watch this. So VLAN 30 can talk to 30. Let's see. Nice. Okay. VLAN 10 can talk to VLAN 10. Beautiful. What about VLAN 20 to VLAN 20? No. Hello. We said no, you're not allowed. Let me try this again. VLAN 20 to VLAN 20. So across switches, VLAN 20 cannot pass through. So I could even specify and manage which VLANs can go from one switch to another. By default, when you trunk a port, all the VLANs are allowed to go from one side to another. That's what I wanted to show you in this lecture. We will continue more about VLANs in our next lecture. Bye now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Mo again. In this lecture, we're going to be continuing with more and more VLANs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself two switches, one here and one here, and let me just increase the fonts on it. All right. And I'm going to be putting a few computers. So watch this. One, two, three, four, and just another one. All right. Same thing. One, two, three, four, and another one. So I have two actual switches over here. All right. So watch this. I'm going to put my actual cables. And of course, all these are what? Straight through cables. So port one, port two, port three, and port four. And this one goes to port five. And same thing over here. Check this out. Port one, port two, port three, port four, port five, right? As you see. Okay. And then I'm going to put a cable from one side to another. Watch this. So I'm going to go ahead and connect gigabit zero 1 to gigabit zero 1, just like that. Okay, so this is going to be called switch 1, all right? So this is switch 1. And this one over here is switch 2. All right, so I'm going to go to switch 1, go to the CLI, and first of all, let me just go ahead and change the host name. So host name SW1, all right? And then host name over here is what? SW2. So let me just log on, global configuration mode, host name SW2. Okay, so this one is going to be in VLAN 10. Watch this. VLAN 10, VLAN 10, all right? VLAN 20, VLAN 20, VLAN 1, same thing, VLAN 10 and VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. The more you do this, the more you get like addicted to it. It's really good. The more you practice with this, folks. And VLAN 1. It's just a lot of fun. And 20 and 20 and of course 10 and 10. And right over here, let me just make sure they're arranged in the right format. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to each device and give it an IP address just like before. So I'm going to say 192.168.10.1, 192.168.10.2, all right? 192.168.10.2. And this one is going to be 20.1. And the other one is going to be 20.2. All right, so watch this. 20.2. And this one is going to be 1.1. And this one is going to be over here, what, 10.3? And this one is going to be 10.4. All right, watch this. So I'm just going with the next numbers. And this one is going to be 20.3. Watch this, 20.3. And this one is going to be 20.4. And this one is 20.4. And this one is going to be 1.2. So I'm going to do 1.2. Okay, so watch this. I'm going to go to the switch and create the VLANs quickly right now. Watch this. Very simple. So I'm going to say VLAN space 10, enter, name sales. Up arrow VLAN 20, enter, name tech. Exit interface range F0/1 to 2. Switch port access VLAN 10. And ports 3 through 4, switch port access VLAN 20, right? And I'm going to do WR, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other switch. Watch this. Full screen. VLAN 10, same thing. Same numbers, name sales. VLAN 20, enter, name tech, exit, interface, range F0/1 to 2, switch port access VLAN number 10. And then ports 3 and 4 to VLAN number what? 20. See that? Just like that. And I'm going to save my configuration. Now, of course, VLAN 10 can only talk to VLAN 10 on the same switch. I cannot go across switches because I did not do the trunking. So 10 and 10 is good. 20 and 20 is good. 1 and 1 is also good because by default, this port is a member of VLAN 1 only, remember? But VLAN 10 over here cannot talk to VLAN 10 here. Watch this. Failed. Let me try this again. VLAN 10 to VLAN 10 failed. So what I want to do is I want to go to this port. I want to show you a few changes here. Why did I do this setup? I'm going to go to port what? Config T interface gigabit 0/1. Gigabit 0/1. And I'm going to say switch port trunk. And look at this. Am I going to be allowing VLANs? No. So I'm not allowing anything yet. So when I do switch port trunk, I could specify which ones are allowed. I could change the native VLAN. What I want to do is switch port, ask for help, and I'm going to say non-negotiate. Don't negotiate with the other side. Okay. And look, command rejected because it's what? It's running in dynamic. So what do I have to do? Switch port mode, right? Right? And I'm going to say switch port. And I'm going to do the non-negotiate command. Now it takes effect. Okay. Show interface right. Okay, VLANs allowed. Look, this time it's on. It's not on auto. Let me check the other side over here if it got trunked or not. And look, it says, oh, it's blocking. Okay. Show interface trunk, and it's not there. So now I have to go over here, interface, gigabit 0/1, switch port mode trunk, and I'm going to say don't negotiate with other side, which means I'm going to do everything manually. Switch port, and let's ask for help. I'm going to say non-negotiate. So when you say non-negotiate, don't negotiate with other side. If it's trunking on one side, you have to do it manually on the other side. That could be used for security purposes. So now when I do show interface trunk, right? Look, VLANs 1, 10, and 20. You see that? Those are the VLANs are actually allowed, just the way it was actually before. So now, when I go back, oh, remember, it could be an access port or a trunk port. Okay, I'm going to put envelope over here, VLAN 10 to VLAN 10, successful. Okay, envelope here, VLAN 20 to 20, successful. I wanted to show you something different. I'm going to get myself a phone. So when I get myself a phone and I hook it up over here to the switch, this is not PoE, and this is port 6, which means I have to use an injector or power this on just the way it is. So now it's powered on. See this? So now it's actually on. The phone has to be in a different VLAN also, which means I have to go back to the switch over here, and I'm going to say global configuration mode, VLAN, let's say 40, enter, name, voice, right? Just like that. Then exit. Then I'm going to say interface F0/6, just one, switch port. I don't use the access command anymore. I use the voice command. So I'm going to say voice VLAN space what? 30 and enter. Did I say 30? Okay, it's actually 40, but look what it says. Hello, even though you don't have that VLAN, I'm going to go ahead and create it for you. So guess what? If you don't, folks, create the VLANs from the beginning and you say, I want to put this in another VLAN, it's going to create it for you, but there's no name for it. So watch this. This is what I want to show you. Show VLAN. Oh, I have a VLAN 30 and there's a port 6 in there. It was created, but it gave me this number name with a number. Okay, just to show you how things work. So if I go back and I say interface F0/6, right? Just like that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and say switch port voice VLAN what? 40 right now. Control Z, go VLAN. Now I have port 6 in VLAN 40. I want to remove VLAN 30. What do I do? Config T. No, VLAN 30 and enter. So you can see how that works too. Show VLAN again. Now I have VLAN 10, 20, and 40. And 40 is for my voice. So if I have printers, for example, watch this. I'm going to get myself an actual printer. Here is a printer. All right. And I'm going to connect this device to the switch. And let's say port 7. So I'm going to go to the switch, right? And create another VLAN. Let's say VLAN 50, VLAN space 50, name, and I'm going to call this printers, just like that. Exit. Interface F0/ what? 7. Switch port. I don't use the voice. Voice is only if it's from an IP phone. I'm going to say access, and I'm going to say VLAN. Then VLAN number what? If I said 60, what is it going to do? It's going to create it, but going to give it like weird name. So VLAN 50 and enter. Control Z, WR, throw VLAN. Now I have a VLAN 50 for printers. That's where I put my printers. So normally what I'm trying to tell you is you have printers, they have their own VLAN. You have phones, they have their own VLANs. You have data, which is laptops, desktop servers, they have their own VLANs. You have cameras, they have their own VLAN. Everything is separated. So you can separate VLANs the way you actually want. If I check on this switch over here, just to show you, and my native VLAN is VLAN number what? VLAN number 1. I do have another VLAN. Watch this. So if I go to global configuration mode and I say do show VLAN, I can see the VLANs. I have 10, 20. right, on this switch. Remember, I didn't create the VLAN for the voice and the printers on this one. It doesn't sync. You'll see why I'm doing this. So I have to create them manually on each what switch. So I'm going to say VLAN, let's say 60, enter, name. I'm going to call this, let's say, test. Okay, that's the name, which is test. And I'm going to go back to this switch over here and create a VLAN 60. So config T, VLAN 60, all right? Name test. Okay, good. So I'm going to do show VLAN. And now I have a VLAN 60, which is test. Okay, what does that mean? What I want to do is VLAN 60 is a test. Now I know that the interface that connects from this switch to this switch is gigabit zero what? One, right? Okay, so watch this right now. Config T, interface, gigabit Ethernet 0/1. And I'm going to say switch port. And I'm going to choose the question mark and ask for help, right? So let's see. And I'm going to choose what option over here. I know we did the no negotiate, right? So this is something that we actually did. Switch port, let's say trunk, question mark, native VLAN, which number 60. Now I'm switching my native VLAN, my default VLAN from 1 to 60. Okay, do WR. Okay, now I go back to my other switch over here. So I went to this switch and I said, my default native VLAN is 60, not 1. You know why? Because everybody knows the default VLAN is what? Look, something happened over here, inconsistent with the local VLAN. All right, now let me do this and show you over here what's happening over here. So I'm going to go to interface gigabit 0/1, right? So it's telling me, like, hello, you have a problem over here and you're not actually fixing it. Switch port, trunk native VLAN 60, and now I'm not going to get the error message. Okay, now it says port. It's restored. Good. It's unblocking. Everything looks good right now. Now I'm going to go ahead and do WR. You see this? And now I'm going to do show interface trunk. And my native VLAN is VLAN what? 60. You know what that means? This is what it means. When I do throw VLAN over here, I can see all the ports are actually part of VLAN 1. What I should do, ports 5 through 24, and gigabit zero 02 should be moved to VLAN 60, and I should shut down VLAN number 1 for security purposes. That's what I wanted to show you in this lecture. This is a lot of stuff from here and there, all right? So global configuration mode, and let's say we're using ports 5 through 24. Interface, let's say range fast Ethernet 0/1 to 24. And then I'm going to specify a comma, gigabit Ethernet 0/what? 2. I'm going to say what over here? Switch port, access, VLAN 60. Okay, do WR. This is good for security. And Control Z, show VLAN over here. Oh, VLAN 1 has nothing. The default VLAN now is called VLAN 60. Nobody knows out there what I did. So nobody knows I like to get rid of default configuration. I have to do the same thing on where? On the other switch. I have to check and see. So now there's a mismatch discovered. Okay, and that's fine. We know. Show VLAN. And I see port 5 through what? Through 24. Okay. And gigabit 0/what? Gigabit 0/2. So config T, right? Interface, fast Ethernet 0/5 to 24. And then comma, gigabit Ethernet, interface range. Range, fast Ethernet 0/5 to 24, comma, and also gigabit Ethernet 0/2, switch port, access VLAN what? 60. I'm perfect right now. This looks good. Go VLAN. Look at this. See this? Now VLAN 60 has everything. You know what I could do? I could go to a VLAN that I'm not using, space, VLAN 1, shut down this port, shut it down. If I do no shut, it turns it on. So if there's a VLAN I'm not using, I shut it down. Okay, now watch this. Config T, interface, VLAN, nothing is in there, which means it's not actually up. Shut down. It didn't say, if I said no shut, it tells me it's up, but I want to do what? Shut down. Now it's shut down. UWR. Perfect. So run. I have the VLANs in 60 now. That's the default. Interface VLAN number 1 is shut down, folks. And look, I changed my native to VLAN 60. Do you see that? This is how it should actually be what? done. My native is not longer one, it's 60. This is done for what? Security purposes. That's what I wanted to show you in this lecture. Well, guess what? I know that VLAN 10 cannot talk to 20. Well, guess what? In our next lecture, we're going to see how we can from one VLAN to another, which is called inter VLAN routing. So we will see you folks in our next lecture. Bye now.